Listen up, what I'm about to say will flip your perspective upside down. Have you ever had to deal with someone who makes every change about them? Someone who gaslights you so hard, you start questioning your own existence. Yep, I'm talking about narcissists. And let's be honest, we've spent too much time trying to fix them, heal them, or worse, understand them. Enough of that. Today, I'm giving you the power back. I'm going to teach you 7 ways to drive a narcissist crazy, strategically, ethically, and without losing your mind in the process. Ready to stop playing by their rules and start taking back control of your life? Let's do this. Narcissists thrive on attention. They crave it like the rest of us need oxygen. Whether it's praise, admiration, or even anger and frustration, A&I emotional reaction you give them is fuel for their insatiable ego. They don't care if it's good or bad attention. In fact, they often prefer drama because it gives them more control. That's why silence is one of your most powerful weapons. When you go silent, it sends a message they can't stand. They are irrelevant. They no longer control you. And when you refuse to react, when you refuse to engage, you steal their power. Narcissists are master manipulators. They'll bait you into arguments, poke at your insecurities, trying to get you to explode. The more you react, the more they think they own you. But when you stay silent, when you don't defend yourself, when you don't acknowledge their chaos, you take away their ammunition. Silence isn't passive. It's deliberate and strategic. It's a reminder to yourself that you're in control of your emotions. You're no longer playing the role they wrote for you. And trust me, nothing infuriates a narcissist more than someone who stops playing their game. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they need to have the last word. You think, if I just explain myself one more time, they'll get it. News flash, they already know. They're just pretending they don't because it keeps you hooked. Silence breaks that cycle. It's you saying, I don't owe you anything. Not my words, not my energy, not even my anger. Yes, it's uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to defending yourself or trying to be understood. Narcissists train you to believe you have to justify your existence to them. But the more you practice silence, the more empowering it becomes. You'll realize that you never needed their approval. They're the ones who need you, not the other way around. Now, let's talk about boundaries. With narcissists, normal boundaries don't work. You can't just hint at what you need or expect them to respect your wishes out of decency. They don't operate that way. They don't recognize subtlety. They don't respect vulnerability. That's why your boundaries need to be brutal, clear, sharp, and absolutely non-negotiable. No explanations, no second chances. A narcissist will test you every single time. They'll poke at your limits to see if you'll cave. The moment you show weakness, they'll bulldoze right over you. Brutal boundaries aren't about being cruel. They're about survival. They're about protecting your peace, your mental health, your self-respect. When you set a boundary with a narcissist, you're not asking for their permission. You're making a statement. This is what I accept. This is what I will not tolerate. Period. Enforce it immediately. Because if you don't, they'll push harder. They'll manipulate more. They'll charm faster. The only language they understand is consequences. If you've been conditioned to be a people pleaser, this will be hard. You'll hear that voice in your head whispering, maybe I'm being too cold. Maybe I should explain just once more. Ignore it. That voice is a product of years of gaslighting. You owe no explanations, no justifications, and certainly no second chances for someone who has shown you time and time again that they'll only take what you give and demand more. The key to setting brutal boundaries is clarity. Be crystal clear. Don't say, I'd appreciate it if you didn't call me late at night. Say, if you call me late at night, I will not answer. If it continues, I will block your number. Direct. Simple. No room for negotiation. And when they test that boundary, act immediately. No emotional discussions. No bargaining. Action speaks louder than words. Narcissists are experts at wearing you down. They'll guilt, trip you, charm you, badge you, whatever it takes to make you bend. But your boundaries have to be automatic. Muscle memory. This isn't just something you do when you feel strong. This is who you are now. Every time you reinforce a boundary, you take back power. You remind them, and yourself, that you are not available for manipulation. Emotional flatness is one of the most powerful tools against a narcissist. They thrive on emotional reactions. When you react, whether it's anger, frustration, or tears, you give them exactly what they want. They still control you. But when you stay emotionally flat, when you refuse to give them the reaction they're desperate for, you disarm them completely. Staying calm doesn't mean you're weak. It's dominance. It's discipline. And it will absolutely infuriate them. They'll escalate, try harder to provoke you. But when they realize nothing they say or do shakes you, they'll start to panic. You're no longer the easy target. You've shifted the power dynamic. Now, you control it. They no longer have the ability to provoke, control, or dominate you. They've lost their weapon. And eventually, they'll realize you're untouchable. Narcissists are like attention addicts. They crave it constantly, in any form. Whether it's praise, admiration, or even arguments, it feeds their ego. That's why one of the most devastating things you can do to a narcissist is starve them of attention. Attention starvation is total. No texting them when you feel lonely. No liking their posts to seem polite. No responding to their bait messages. Every time you break, even a little, you feed their addiction. You've got to go all in. Make your attention a black hole. Nothing gets through. No validation. No acknowledgement. Nothing. They need to be the center of your world. If they can provoke you into reacting, they're still in control. But when you stop giving them the reaction they need, you shatter their illusion of power. Suddenly, they're just an afterthought, irrelevant, insignificant. At first, they'll escalate. They'll try to bait you into reacting by pretending they've changed or playing the victim. Don't fall for it. Stay firm. Every time you withhold attention, you're freeing yourself. You reclaim your time, your energy, your peace. You stop wasting emotional labor on them, and instead, pour that energy into the things that matter. Yo, RCLF, living your best life is the ultimate form of revenge. Narcissists thrive on controlling the narrative. When you shift the spotlight off them and onto your own growth and happiness, they lose their grip on you. They no longer matter, and they can't stand it. They need to believe you're nothing without them. But when you rise, when you build a life so full, so grounded in self-worth that you no longer need their validation, they lose. When dealing with a narcissist, you must learn to shut down the emotional floodgates. They feed off your emotions, your anger, frustration, sadness, even your happiness. The more they can manipulate you into feeling something, the more they control you. And the more you react, the more they win. So, what's the best way to counter this? Emotional neutrality. Stay calm, stay composed, and show absolutely no emotion. If they yell, get sarcastic, or make dramatic statements to get under your skin, don't give them the satisfaction of seeing how you feel. When you don't react, when you maintain an emotionally neutral stance, you take away their ability to manipulate you. The narcissist loses their power over you. This can be especially hard because narcissists will push all your buttons. They will test your limits, your patience, your boundaries. But here's the thing, the more they provoke and the less you respond, the more frustrated they will become. They want drama. They want to be the center of attention, and they want to get an emotional reaction out of you. But when you stop giving them that, they feel small, insignificant, and out of control. Their ego starts to shatter. Be the iceberg, be unshakable, indifferent, and above their petty games. They'll try harder to provoke you, but eventually, they will see that you've become a fortress of emotional strength. The more they push, the more they'll realize you're untouchable. A narcissist can't stand being mirrored. In fact, it completely messes with their sense of superiority. The reason? Narcissists believe they are special, unique, and irreplaceable. But when you mirror them, when you reflect their behaviors back at them, you highlight their contradictions, their flaws, and their inherent insecurities. Mirroring doesn't mean you act like them or mimic their negative behaviors. Instead, you reflect back their traits in a way that exposes their hypocrisy. For example, if a narcissist constantly tells you how much better they are than others, you could simply say something like, "Oh, so you think you're better than everyone else? I've noticed that too." But pointing out their behavior with an almost detached, unemotional tone, you stop them from continuing the manipulation. It's like holding up a mirror to their face, showing them exactly how ridiculous they look without getting emotionally involved yourself. This technique is incredibly powerful. Narcissists can't handle having their flaws thrown back at them. especially when it comes to their need for superiority. When you reflect their behavior back at them, they'll either lash out in anger or run away in shame. Either way, you've won. Narcissists love playing the victim. They will twist any situation to make it seem like they are the one who's been wronged, even when they are the ones causing harm. They do this to manipulate others into feeling sorry for them or giving them sympathy, which in turn allows them to stay in control. Don't buy into their sob story. When they try to make you feel guilty or pity them, remind yourself that their entire narrative is a manipulation tactic to regain power over you. A narcissist doesn't care about your feelings or your well-being. They care about maintaining their control. They may try to guilt trip you by bringing up past mistakes or using their childhood as an excuse for their behavior. But don't let it suck you in. Instead of reacting emotionally, calmly point out the truth of the situation. I understand that you feel that way, but it's not my responsibility to fix your problems. This shows them that you see through their manipulations and will not be swayed by their attempts to make you feel bad for them. The moment you stop allowing them to manipulate you with guilt, they lose a major tool in their arsenal. And that's when they begin to realize you're not the easy target they thought you were. Lastly, one of the most effective ways to drive a narcissist crazy is by creating physical and emotional distance between you and them. Narcissists cannot stand being ignored or pushed away. They rely on proximity and control, so when you create space, they lose access to you, and they hate that. Start by setting clear boundaries and sticking to them. If you've been engaging with them on social media, consider cutting back or even blocking them if necessary. Stop responding to their texts immediately. Don't give them the satisfaction of knowing when you're free or available. Let them see that you have a life beyond them, and you don't need them to validate your worth. Physical distance can be just as powerful as emotional distance. If possible, limit face-to-face encounters. Don't go out of your way to be around them. And if you must interact, keep the interaction brief, neutral, and impersonal. If they start pushing your buttons, walk away. The more you distance yourself from the narcissist, the more they'll feel out of control. They will start to panic and try to draw you back in with manipulative tactics, whether that's by using guilt, charm, or even aggression. But here's the thing, the more you maintain your distance, the more you take back your power. You become a force they can't control or manipulate. And eventually, they'll either give up trying to win you back, or they'll go after someone else who is more susceptible to their games. By implementing these strategies, you'll notice that narcissists lose their power over you. You'll stop being a pawn in their games and start taking control of your own life. Keep your boundaries firm, your emotions in check, and your distance unbreakable. You're not here to fix anyone's ego, especially not a narcissist's. Take back your peace, your control, and your happiness. Because when you stop feeding a narcissist, they lose, and you win. When you mirror a narcissist's behavior, you are not just reflecting what they do, you are actively using a psychological strategy to disarm and undermine their power. Narcissists thrive on control, and their primary method of maintaining control is through manipulation, emotional dominance, and playing people against each other. They often operate in a world of their own, where they are the center of attention and everything revolves around them. By mirroring their behavior, you turn the tables on them in a way that forces them to confront their own tactics without them even realizing what's happening. Mirroring is a tactic often used in psychological manipulation and negotiation, but when used against a narcissist, it becomes a method of self-protection. When you mirror their behavior, it confuses them because they are used to being the one who calls the shots. They expect people to comply with their will, to follow their emotional highs and lows, and to submit to their whims. When you mimic their actions, you become the one controlling the situation, throwing them off balance, making them question their usual strategies. The first step in effectively mirroring a narcissist is to observe their behavior closely. Narcissists are often very predictable once you understand their core patterns. They will play the victim, they will manipulate situations to make you feel inferior, and they will always seek validation. The more you pay attention to these tendencies, the easier it becomes to mirror their actions. One of the most effective ways to mirror a narcissist is by mimicking their emotional state. Narcissists feed off of reactions, yours anyone's. They constantly look for ways to provoke emotional responses because it reaffirms their importance in your life. When you mirror their behavior, you stop giving them the satisfaction of emotional control. If they yell, stay calm but firm. If they become overly dramatic, remain composed but show them that you see their game. Narcissists want to push your buttons, but when you refuse to react in a way that they expect, you disrupt their plan. For instance, when a narcissist tries to provoke you into a fight or elicit an emotional response, responding in kind but with an emotionless stance can cause them to lose their grip on the situation. If they shout at you and accuse you of something you didn't do, you calmly say, "That's your perception," and refuse to defend yourself. Narcissists thrive on getting people to justify their actions or react with anger. By staying composed and not playing into their emotional manipulation, you mirror their behavior, but in a way that disrupts their power play. The second layer of mirroring involves acknowledging their words, but giving no emotional weight to them. Narcissists want to dominate conversations and control the narrative. They may distort reality to make themselves look good, deflect blame, or gaslight you into doubting your own perspective. Instead of challenging their lies head on, mirror their behavior by remaining neutral. If they tell you that they are the victim or blame you for something that isn't your fault, simply reply with statements like, "I understand," or "That's your perspective." By reflecting their behavior in this way, you subtly disarm their manipulations while denying them the emotional charge they so desperately need. Mirroring a narcissist's behavior can also involve imitating their need for validation. Narcissists are deeply insecure, and despite their grandiose self-image, they are constantly seeking admiration and approval from others. When you mirror this behavior, it can frustrate them to no end. Narcissists expect to be the focal point in relationships, so when you start seeking their approval in the same way they seek it from others, they may become uncomfortable. You might ask them for validation or compliment them excessively, not in a genuine way, but as a reflection of their own behavior. This can disorient them, as they are used to being the one who demands admiration, not the one who has asked for it. In addition to validation, mirroring the narcissist's egocentric behavior can be particularly effective. Narcissists often make everything about themselves, treating their achievements as monumental, while dismissing the accomplishments of others. When you mirror this, you subtly shift the dynamic. If they are constantly talking about their successes, respond by telling them about your own achievements or by exaggerating something you've done. This mirrors their need for attention and subtly challenges their self-centered narrative. The more they start to see you as an equal subbers, which they struggle with, the more it will disorient them and make them uncomfortable. You are no longer playing the role they expect you to, someone who is subservient to their needs, but are shifting the dynamic into a more balanced one, where you both compete for the same attention. Another powerful way to mirror a narcissist's behavior is by mimicking their dominance. Narcissists are often aggressive in how they interact with others. They expect people to submit to their will, and if you resist, they will typically try to undermine you. Mirroring this behavior involves standing your ground in an equally assertive manner. If a narcissist tries to belittle you or make demands, stand tall, make firm eye contact, and respond in an equally commanding tone. This doesn't mean you have to be cruel or disrespectful, but you reflect their intensity in your demeanor. This creates an emotional mirror that catches them off guard because they are used to being the only ones who can dominate conversations and dictate terms. When you mirror this behavior, it equalizes the power dynamic, forcing them to acknowledge you as a force to be reckoned with, rather than someone to be manipulated. The challenge with mirroring a narcissist's behavior is not only doing it, but doing it strategically. If you simply imitate them in a shallow way, they will see right through it. Narcissists are skilled at spotting insincerity, so if you reflect their actions without any depth or understanding, it could backfire. The key is to mirror them in a way that is authentic to your own sense of power. You don't become a mirror of them because you are weak or afraid. You mirror them because you are in control. You are showing them that they are not the only person with power and that you can play their game, but you are doing it better. This is the ultimate form of psychological warfare when it comes to narcissists. Manipulating them in a way that forces them to confront their own behavior. Eventually, mirroring a narcissist's behavior will force them to confront their own emptiness. Narcissists are always seeking something from others to validate their self-worth. They constantly need the admiration of others to feel significant. When you reflect their actions back to them, it has the paradoxical effect of isolating them. Narcissists don't like competition for attention. They expect to always be the most important person in the room. But when you mirror their behavior, you stop fulfilling their need for validation, making them feel threatened and confused. The more you mirror them, the more they will realize they cannot manipulate you in the same way they manipulate others. Mirroring a narcissist's behavior is not about becoming a copy of them or lowering yourself to their level. It's a deliberate strategy to take back control. It's about mirroring their ego-driven actions, but doing so with an awareness of their tactics and a focus on your own goals. The more you mirror them, the more you regain your own sense of authority. It's a subtle but powerful way of turning the tables on them, and it forces the narcissist to realize they can no longer maintain the same level of control over you. When you mirror a narcissist's behavior, you mirror not just the surface level of their actions, but also the emotional dynamics that they use to manipulate people. You become so adept at reflecting their moves that they no longer can predict how you will react. It disorients them, destabilizes their emotional environment, and makes them realize that you are not an easy target. It's a game changer in the world of narcissism, where their usual tactics begin to lose their potency, and you gain the upper hand. In conclusion, mirroring a narcissist's behavior can be one of the most effective ways to take back control in a relationship that has been dominated by their manipulation. It shifts the power dynamic, disarms their emotional traps, and forces them to confront their own actions. When done strategically, it doesn't just protect you. It can also help you regain your emotional autonomy. By mirroring their behavior, you stop being a passive participant in their games and begin playing the game on your own terms. The more you understand their tactics, the better you can mirror them and turn their behavior back onto them.